For the first clip, by looking at the facial structure, facial hairs and overall size, I can safely assume that this is a female. At the end of the same clip, we see the lion sitting not too far from another tiger, who is undoubtedly a male tiger. Judging by the long facial hairs and robust skull and upper body, whether the lion actually stole from this tiger, we don't actually know. We don't have any footage to even confirm that argument, so it's best not to assume. For the second clip, it's much harder to determine the gender due to the horrible quality of the video, but with the X-ray effect, makes it a little easier to see, and by its size and small facial hairs, I can safely say this is a female as well. This is a different tiger because of the stripe pattern on the face, meaning the tigress we saw earlier left the area. So, this is yet another tigress by looking at the very slim body frame and short facial hairs. For the last tiger, the X-ray clearly gives us a much better visual, and this tiger is quite massive and is definitely comparable, if not larger, than this lion. We can also notice some very large amounts of facial hairs as well, so this would be a male tiger. Overall, it has one male lion and 5 different tigers, 3 of which were female and 2 being male. A lot of people misinterpret this whole encounter and interpreted it to their liking, and sometimes even twist it for other people to believe, thus causing a chain reaction of propaganda. Aside from that, let's actually look closely at these 2 clips and analyze what's actually happening, and why was the lion the aggressor. At the start of the scuffle, it seems as though the lion is headed straight for the tiger, right? Well,
that's incorrect.
If you actually pay attention, you can literally see the lion is actually looking at something that is near the tiger. The lion isn't actually making eye contact with the tiger. So we can clearly see the lion is going after something else, not the tiger. Tiger fans also exaggerate this clip and say a lot of things like the tiger threw a lot of powerful paw swipes and subdued the lion. Let me dismiss that. First of all of those blows didn't have any effect on the lion, and it wasn't even that powerful. The tigress struck the mane of the lion several times, and this lion's mane is quite large, so it cushioned all of those blows. If those paw swipes were so powerful, I'd expect the lion to turn tail and run away, or at least move away from the tigress. Instead, he took all of those quote-unquote powerful paw swipes and kept moving forward towards something else. To top it all off, the tigress was the one who submitted to the lion in the end. Now, it's a well-known fact that cats submit by lying on their back, showing their belly or vulnerable part of their body, meaning they are yielding or submitting. Cats don't expose their underside to defend themselves. They do that in order to let the more dominant cat know that they don't want part of the fight and that they don't see a way of winning. Hence why they expose their most vulnerable part of their body, which is the underbelly or the abdomen. There's even a study to prove that the tigress was submitting. Scalar, a prominent biologist who studied and observed tigers in the wild, says this in one of his books titled The Deer and the Tiger, Study of Wildlife in India by George B. Scalar. On one occasion, however, a tigress rolled partially onto her back when attacked by another female, exposing her abdomen, one paw held limply in the air. One cub also behaved in this fashion when threatened by another cub. The gesture appears to be one of submission. So, what the tigress is displaying here is a clear demonstration of submission. So in the first encounter, the lion was the dominant one. Now the question is, what was the lion after? The lion was after a piece of meat. Now if you don't know, keepers of Everland have a tendency to throw pieces of meat throughout the park for lions and tigers to snack on. And when you pay attention to the clip, you can see that the lion isn't actually focusing on the tiger and just took all the blows. He simply wanted to steal from the tiger at that time. That's also evident because at the ending of the same clip we see the lion chewing at the end of the clip. Again, it starts off with the lion seemingly charging towards the tiger, but if you pay close attention you can see he isn't actually going for the tiger, and it further proves he is stealing meat from the tigers. You can see his attention is on something on the ground. He then covers the meat and literally turns his back on the threat in front of him. Also keep in mind, the tiger is throwing multiple paw swipes and the lion is simply ignoring it, until the lion had enough and growled at the tigress, and the tigress instantly stopped attacking the lion and left. and then another tigress appeared and had a sort of standoff with the lion, and it seems as though she was trying to intimidate him. The lion was only keen on eating and wasn't even paying attention to the tigress. Now for the final encounter. At the very beginning of this encounter, the tiger was actually defending his food, because you can see him look down at the food for a brief moment, then looked up to the lion to fight. He threw a lot of horsewipes towards the lion's mane as well, but had no effect. The lion successfully stole from the tiger as well. I'd assume he also growled at this tiger similar to what he did to the tigress earlier, in order to let the tiger know that if they keep retaliating, he'd actually fight back. The tiger went into a defensive position by crouching, and the lion successfully stole the meat from the tiger. Now keep in mind, if these individuals were to actually have a serious fight, it wouldn't be fair for the tigers, because 1, it had opposite genders, it had females involved, and 2, they are white tigers, which are unhealthy specimens of tiger. And if I'm being honest, this is literally the healthiest lion I've ever seen in all of Everland. In total, there were actually just 3 encounters between the lion and the tigers. 2 were female and 1 was a male. And if we were to include the other 2, for example, the female that had a standoff for the lion and the male tiger who didn't seem to take any part, would be 5. But it's really just 3 who had an actual conflict with the lion, in which we can all agree the lion was dominant in all of those scenarios by stealing from both genders successfully.